Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Just a Sister Thing and to my own little crafty corner. So I think I'm pretty much at the point where I'm ready to build my junk journal. I have a lot of ephemera, pockets, pages, all dyed, and so I think I'm ready for that. And now I'm going to go through the process of building this junk journal and putting a new spine on it, because obviously my book would be like this, would never shut. So what we're going to do is I'm going to cut this apart, and I've made a new spine. And I apologize for my throat. I've got my Diet Dr. Pepper, so I'm hoping that's going to mitigate the scratchy throat. Probably the sensible thing would have been to make some tea, but I didn't. I forgot. Okay, so I'm going to cut this out. I do need to hang on to this little piece that I'm cutting out, because it will come in handy later on. Okay, so this, we already have the fabric on it from the previous book. I just want this size is perfect for my pages. I cut all my pages to match it. So I'm going to take my sanding block and just kind of sand this down a little bit. Okay, got one. And you don't really have to take that off, but in this instance, it was really thick. So that's why I went ahead and did that. Now I have two nice pieces of board. Clean all this up. Moving right along. Okay, so I took, it's like unwrapping a little Christmas present. This is a roll of wallpaper, and I wanted to make a curved spine. If you make a curved spine, your book opens easily and it'll stay open. So I wanted a free spine, one that was curved. So what I did was I took some more of this board from, I don't even know what, from packaging or something, and I glued a couple pieces together. I'm going to show you here if I ever get it off here. So I used that this time. Sometimes I use a Pringles can. Just depends on how big I want the book to be and how flat I want the spine. So this is going to be my spine. I took two pieces of cardboard and glued them together, and then I sprayed them down with some starch. And that's, cut them to the right size, let's hope. And we are good to start. It's going to have a nice little curve to it. And when it opens, it'll lay nice and flat. And what I want to do here is I have a bunch of papers already cut. I just want to make sure that I'm dealing with a good size here, because I did make this, I made this a couple of weeks ago. So this is probably all the pages that I'm going to put in this. So I want to make sure that my back fits that pretty good. And it looks like it's going to be pretty good to me. I've got a little bit of space there for it to expand. I'm getting down to my final 2 pieces of Tyvek, so obviously I'm going to have to order something that will come priority. Or I'm going to have to break down and get myself some Tyvek. I'm pretty sure they sell it on Amazon. I've just always had a really good supply of it, so I never worried about it. Trying a new trick. I was watching someone on, and I don't remember who, I'll try to look it up. Someone was doing a video. They said that if you put an Elmer's glue cap on your Fabri-Tac, that it does the job. So we're going to find out. I'm not a very patient person. I've already got a goober here. It has a little bit of Elmer's glue left in it, even though I've really washed it, dried it, stuck a needle in it. Alright, so let's see. Well, it does close up pretty good, so hopefully that's going to work. Love Fabri-Tac. It's my favorite go-to strong glue, but I wish the company would address it, because I know that everybody has complained about it. It does continuously ooze. Okay, so all I'm doing is using my Fabri-Tac. I'm just pressing. I want that down there really good. It's not unusual for me to use Fabri-Tac and double stick. Today I'm just using the Fabri-Tac. I'm going to lay this out. My next adventure here is going to be to place this on top of the little flap. And then what I have done is I have a lot of different gauges of strips of board that I have cut. This one happens to fit this very nicely. And that's how big of a gap I want here when I place this board down. So while that is continuing to dry, and it seems to be sticking pretty good. Pretty good. Okay, so that's going to continue to dry. And what I'm going to do is start prepping for the next set. I don't know if this is going to work or not. It's such a thick glue. But it's giving me a good point. And this is just a happy accident that the previous green paper that was on here, fabric, whatever it was. So what I'm going to do is take my smooth side here, I'll press it up against this. You want to make sure that you're lined up top and bottom, which we are, and then squish it over the length of this little divider board, just like so. And I'm just giving it a minute to sit, letting that glue do its job. Okay. Pop out my little divider. And do the same side. Same thing with this side. I don't know about this. I don't know about my little tricky thing here. I was so tickled with the idea. Okay. Okay, back to the cake decorator one, which works every time. Nifty little idea that I don't even mind saying. I stole this idea from Pam at the Paper Outpost. I keep my cake decorator kit upside down in my little, this is my glue and catch-all. So you lose a little bit of glue to start, but you kind of keep that in there, and it does keep it from leaking too much. You lose a little bit, not a lot, but it's always down at the tip, and that's nice because it's very frustrating when you're trying to do something and you got to wait forever for it to come out to the top. All right, so when you get it done, you got your nice little gap here, and got your gap on the back. I'm not going to use fabric, which on this journal I believe I am. Then I always go over it with another piece of tie back. Okay, I think it's dried enough that I can go ahead and trim that off. Oh, my little thingy falls out of there all the time. And it looks like a hot mess. It really does. It looks like a hot mess. I understand that. But it will come together really nice in the end. And this is a little bit bumpy. But again, fairly certain that I'm going to use some a thick fabric on this little journal. Wow, there's a fly. I think that's the first fly I've seen this year. Could mean the coming of spring finally. It's kind of over the winter. That was not the most fun winter. Just going to trim that little piece off because I actually don't need it. I don't need any of that. I'm just doing it to get it out of the way and to make that top nice and smooth. Okay, so this is my little pile of papers again. These are going to be suspended on a piece of fabric, cotton, and there we eliminate that gator mouth situation because it has more give to it. It's a little bit wider, not a lot, but it's a little bit wider and fits the hand nice. So that's going to be a nice little journal. Okay, well, I think what I'm going to do is gather up my supplies, and I'm just going to go ahead and start building the cover. All right, so I went and I found some supplies. I actually forgot that I fully intended to paint this journal cover like a vintage antique leather look. So I found just some cotton and I wrapped it over the top and sealed it all with some, using both my Fabri-Tac on the outside and some decoupage. So the next step to this little journey is we're going to decoupage it. Get some, oh, I'm getting very low on decoupage. This could be a scary day for me. Alright, so I have this cool shade of napkin. Not that it really matters because it's going to get painted, but I did like this color anyhow. So, quickie little tip, teeny tiny amount of Fabri-Tac or whatever glue. That helps you to pull these apart. Okay? Because you definitely don't want to have the double layer, or else you're going to have peeling napkins everywhere. So I'm just going to tear off strips, pieces. This is the fun part because it's very random. And I actually don't have to bore you with my long conversations, so I will probably start decoupaging and then just fast forward to spare you my babble. So, got a pile here, a nice little pile. Don't know how much I'm going to need, but I do this pretty frequently, so I'm okay if I have extra. Okay, that's a good pile. So we are going to get started. This is still a little bit damp, not going to hurt anything because I'm actually just putting more glue on. And the back of this is going to have, I think, like maybe a faux leather. Actually, I haven't gotten that far. I have these beautiful strips of upholstery. May do something like that. So, not that far yet. Today is decoupage day. So, I'm going to fast forward now and spare you. I will say before I do, try to get it all the way to that edge. If not over the edge. Over the edge is fine. So our base coat is on, and I'm pretty happy with that. I will go around this outside when it's dry and sand off all my little extras. Super quick, super easy, easy peasy. When I'm putting on my, I don't know if you could see that, but a lot of times I'm really stippling with my brush. I'm pushing it down because I do want all these little veins and movement within that decoupage, but I also want, I don't want things like that little piece there was just kind of sticking up. So if it's sticking up, you're going to have to pick it off before you do your painting. So this side is pretty dry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my dryer on it. I will see you in a minute. Okay, so it's pretty dry. It's still cold, which means it's not 100% dry, but it's pretty dry. And you can see that there's a lot of texture there. Now, I know that my decoupage is probably a little bit different. My technique is a little different than what you may have seen somewhere else. But I used to be a mixed media artist, and I will show you briefly. I used the same technique on my canvases. I wanted that nice bumpy texture, and then some paste over it as well to put the different layers in there. So that is how I learned. I taught myself. Is it right? Is it wrong? I don't know. Is there a right way, wrong way? If it works for you. So I went around, I sanded all my edges. So I wanted to explain that just in case you haven't done it before. And you just run your sanding block over it, or sandpaper. Doesn't have to be a block, till it's nice and smooth. And then you can kind of see how that's going to look. I got a little loose piece here, not to worry, we're going to be painting. You can see how that's going to turn out when we get all of the paint on. Okay, so we are ready to paint. So I have all these great colors. I have all these browns, black, chocolate browns, dark browns, a little bit of yellow because I like some highlighted colors. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my styrofoam plate here. I pre-shook everything. You know what? I'm going to need more black, and I will show you why. This is very watery. I've not used this before. Oh, let's see here. Let's see if there's not mixed right. Nope, just watery. So that may be iffy. Not sure about that one. I don't buy necessarily expensive paints. This happens to be Folk Art, probably the most expensive of them. That one was Apple Barrel. This is Apple Barrel. Let's see here. See how close it is in that color. It's a little lighter. I also have metallics, and that is going to be what goes on last. I have this light brown, slightly lighter than the other one. And then, oh, I must use this one like crazy because it didn't have a lot in there. Yeah, it's barely spitting out. So the one thing, the quickie thing that I personally do is I like to go around the whole. Oh no, that's transparent. No. Oh yeah, that's better. I don't know what's going on with that one, but it's not good. Okay, so I like to go around the whole inside of the book, and I want to make sure that there's something, because when I put my paper on, my paper is going to follow that edge, so I definitely don't want a white background. So just quickly as you can through on the black or the brown or the pink, whatever color book you're working on. My spine is not going to be attached, so that's why I'm going down a little bit further, because there's going to be about 1/8 of an inch gap there. So I want to make sure that if you're looking down on top of the book, you aren't seeing pink down in the middle, which you shouldn't be. If you don't like to get messy, this may not be the job for you. You may just want to cut books and cover them in fabric, which I love to do. This is the messy one though. I'm just using this because I want to get rid of it anyhow. Right. Now I think we're ready for some actual paint on the cover. Try to make sure it's not sticking. And I didn't clean my brush. I'm just going right over it. I want the two colors combined. I'm okay with that. And I will pick up other colors as I go and just keep on using the same brush. Now I know that I'm covering this with fabric, but I don't have to worry about, did I hit that? Who cares? Just different shades of brown. That's all we're concentrating on. We don't want the same thing over and over. You can, I mean, you can paint the whole thing a base coat, but this saves you a little bit of time. Kind of just swirl it on there. You gotta get it in all those nooks and crannies. Sorry for tapping. I really love this dark brown. I can't believe I'm out. Burnt umber. I'm going to have to pick some up when I go to the store. Now it's just a matter of throwing in some different colors gently, just picking up a teeny tiny bit and tapping it in like so. Really get that brush nice and heavy, because once you finish this with a little varnish or some decoupage or whatever, it will be pretty. It always goes through the ugly stage and you're like, oh my god, what am I doing? I gotta quit. I'm keeping mine a little bit darker out around the edges, just for some interest. I'm concentrating my black around the edges, even on here, even though this is going to have a little bit of fabric overlapping. Probably not a lot. But you can already see it's got some nice tonal quality. Makes it interesting. Gotta keep the eye interested. Popping this red in here and there. Just lightly tapping now. Popping a little bit of yellow. I kind of got to think out what I'm going to do, and I always put some kind of an index card sized plate on the front. So I need to concentrate my colors, my different colors, also up around the edges for that reason, because a lot of this super pretty is going to get covered. So just want to make sure that you're kind of thinking ahead. Where am I going to put stuff? Am I going to leave it plain? Also, if it's really turns out beautiful and you absolutely love it, you don't have to put a plate on the front. You know, you can simply put lace on the whole spine, run the lace over a little bit, and then you've got that to look at. It's gorgeous. We haven't even gotten to the metallics yet, so it's going to be pretty. Okay, now we just do the back, tappy tappy. I tap a little more aggressively on that first layer because I gotta get in all those little nooks and crannies. Add a little bit of black to that. Now, if you don't decorate the back of your spine, and I may not, I don't always, sometimes I run lace over a little bit, then you can just go completely bananas back here and put your colors in and really get that deep, rich, dark look to it, because you won't be covering it up. So you can actually spend a little bit more time on the back. And drag some black through it. And to start, I push kind of firmly. I mean, my brush gets kind of wicky-wacky. I'm going to fill that crack in, even though I'm going to push fabric down into it. I've done some steampunk journals with this technique. It's just beautiful. Now, when you get to this layer, because everything has a base coat now you want to do tippy tappies, just light little taps. I realize that I have more lightness up here than I do down there, so I've got to blend them a little bit more. Although I kind of liked the lightness, so I'll pop in a little yellow here. Catty corner it, pop in some yellow down there, very lightly. Oop, way too much, way too much. Abort, because we just want a little tiny bit. A lot of painters talk about making mud. You don't want your colors to turn to mud. And that is kind of true, but you do want it blended. And I just think the best technique for that is just to have a light hand pop it on there. I'm just kind of checking to make sure that I'm running close to the same colors. I think this one on the front is just a little bit lighter, so I'm going to take off some of that darkness. As it starts to dry, you can really see those colors start to pop out. I need to get some metallics on here. So I have this real pretty rose gold. Let me see what it's called. Nope, brushed rose gold. And then I have royal gold. And seriously, I get these at Michael's or whatever. I don't spend a fortune on my paints. Walmart is fine. I'm going to put a little silver on my plate. I don't know if I'm going to use it, but I'm going to put a little silver on it. And again. Okay, so loosen up my brush again. Loosen it up like that. And then I'm going to take a little bit of, I got a little bit of each color on my bristles. Tap it down. And pop it on there. Just rubbing it. Moving this side over here because I think I want to dry brush just a little and rub it, and that one's just a little too wet. And it doesn't take a lot. These metallics go on pretty well. You just got to kind of rub them in. I actually have rub and buff, and I probably will put some of that on the cover as well. And again, this is the side that's going to have the plate. Excuse me. Pop a plate right over that, so you won't see a lot in the middle. It's a very pretty day out. I have my windows open. You can hear some little bird out there just making that funny little noise. When we get closer to actually finishing the cover, I will probably use rub and buff for deeper color saturation. Put that up here, rub it a little bit, making room for my fabric, which is going to be on here. You have to move quickly because it dries quickly. Okay, so if you don't like what you've done, it's an easy fix. Just simply pat some of your brown back on it. Pick up a little black. So you can fix anything you don't like. Which I was okay with that, but I just wanted to show you. Let that dry, and then you're good to go. Okay, so I'm going to dry brush over my peaks on the back. See how that's picking up that metal flake just a teeny tiny bit. So that is how it looks. And I like that back, so I'm probably not going to put anything on it. Barely any paint, just dragging it. Smooth that out a little bit because that's too much. Well, it's okay because my plate is going there. But I just want to touch those little peaks. Cover that back up, so I didn't like the brush marks there. I like this project because it's very forgiving. Okay, so I don't know how long the camera has been running all day, but in essence, that is going to be our book cover. Now, if that is too much texture for you, you don't like it, don't stipple it when you're putting it down. Just lay it and smooth it, and then just have little teeny tiny wrinkles like that. But I really wanted the heavy duty, really heavy veins running through this. I think it's going to match my earthy theme that I'm going for. So, okay guys, I think that is it for the day, because I don't know, this is probably about an hour video, but we got the basic construction done. Got all of this outlined. We've got our 2 covers ready to go. The next thing we're going to do is sew our signature onto the fabric and start placing that in there, and we're also going to put our cover plates on the inside as well. So we got quite a lot done. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you again soon.